Hello, everybody. Welcome to End Times Talk, and I hope you're all having a good morning. It's good to see all of you. I'm feeling a little bit better today. Yesterday, I wasn't like, deathly sick or anything like that. I just feeling off and just had no energy, and so. But I thank you for the prayers and for those of all or for those of you that commented on my post in the post section. It meant a lot to me. Those encouraging words always mean a lot to me. So thank you very much for the people that take the time to leave a comment or a prayer. It means a lot. Anyways, um, I remember I got a story here that I want to start with, and you know, there's a business, a local business that I knew the manager of the local business, and the local business was broken into. And um, at most of the intersections in most cities now, in most areas, you're going to have, you know, uh, cameras, closed circuit television up at the top of the poles. Like, and it's always out of sight, out of mind. And you know, this business got broken into, and when the police were called, the manager was like, can't you just tap into that camera that's literally pointing right at the business? And the police are like, no, we can't. Those aren't our cameras. Those aren't the city's cameras. And he's like, well, whose cameras are they? He says they're federal cameras. And I had a buddy that was going to college, and he was writing a paper, and in his area they have these cameras, and he interviewed his local sheriff and the local, just talking about these cameras, and he again confirmed that these types of cameras are not the cities or towns or villages cameras, that these are, federal cameras. So the government themselves is installing it. Like when it comes to the 5G towers, the cell phone companies are renting out space on the tower. It's not the tower that belongs to the cell phone company. Those 5G towers are government federal towers. Now here's the thing: when they put those 5G towers in, those 5G towers, were upgradable. So they put it onto a system that can be updated from time to time, 6G, 7G, 8G, whatever's needed in the future, right? And a lot of these 5G towers, they've made look like pine trees, palm trees, even down south cacti. They make them look like cactus, and my speculation and theory on that specifically is that when the true use of these things begin to emerge, it has been going on, but the truth isn't fully out yet, or the public would be outcrying. But when the truth of the intentions behind these glorified Gwen towers, like they've installed after World War II to do the same purpose, to put out frequencies that make people sick, that push anxiety, cause heart attacks and strokes, and cause pain in people's bodies, or cause inflammation, or an extreme burning sensation. There's people that are targeted individuals that get hit with this stuff, and I in the past have dealt with just really bizarre things, just out of nowhere, just hitting me, and to the point where I, invested in some like Faraday's, clothing and cloth, and to try to do something about it, and then it kind of stopped after that. After I, got the Faraday stuff, all of a sudden it's like, now that I have something to combat that, oh, all of a sudden it just stops. I mean, call me crazy if you, I don't really care. But these things are real. TIs, targeted individuals, are very real. And, this grid that they're building, and really the brain behind it, kind of like iRobot. You have all these crony robots that are out, doing this thing or whatever, at first pretending to be like they're good, but then all of a sudden turning on humanity. But the brain behind it was in a building somewhere, and I forget the name of the AI supercomputer that was running all the robots and AI, or in that movie iRobot with Will Smith. And Vicky was her name. That's what it was, Vicky. And Vicky, I believe, is the AI data centers with the quantum computing. That's what I think is going on. I really do. I think that they're building the brain to this thing, and they're getting the arms and legs and fingers and toes when it comes to the drones and the robot dogs and the uh, humanoid robots, that Elon Musk is mass producing right now. Like, I've gotten word, like, there's hundreds of thousands of these things getting cranked out. Like, dude, there's a lot of them getting built. And, once this is all done and there's enough to go around, there all of a sudden there'll be government grants and it'll probably be Trump. Trump's going to save us and give everybody their own humanoid robot. You'll never have to clean your house again, right? Until it turns on you, and they're programmed to do so. They're programmed by humans, and humans are fallible. And because humans are fallible, they're prone to sin, they're prone to corruption, and because of that, the robots will be too. God is the only everlasting, eternal perfection that ever has existed, the Father, the Son, and the Spirit. And so I want to make that very clear that, anything they build will eventually be used against mankind. All right. And, they have the concentration camps all built. They're right near the railroad tracks. They're putting, these new, for right now, they're calling them like, illegal immigrant, whatever, like Alligator Alcatraz. And they just recently, I heard they were shutting Alligator Alcatraz down. What? So you used it while, for the front cover things, and then you shut it down, and then you rebuild it and you get it ready for the American citizens, for when a liberal dictator comes in. And I can guarantee you, and I don't say this lightly. I'm very concerned that the next president will be a liberal Democrat. And, the Republicans haven't done a good job at all with anything. I'll be honest with you, Skis Mullings, they have pissed everything away. The opportunity that they were given to get things right with God and really do a good working in the Lord. They're not Christian like they say that they are. Behind the scenes, they worship Moloch and Baal and Ashtaroth and all these other false gods. And they pay homage to Greece and Rome and the gods of Greece and Rome. And yeah, it's just sick. These people aren't who they say that they are. Jesus told us that you shall know them by their fruits, not by their words. All right. And so they're, again, they're getting all of this system, all of this technology in place to be able to control mankind when the beast system finally does arise. And they say, well, if you don't do this, you're going to get your nugget chopped off, and you're going to get beheaded. And so, it's one of those things where I feel like we're speeding like an out of control train with no brakes towards this thing. And it's getting kind of scary. And I want to show you this video. It's super important to see this video here. But flock cameras, and it's the new flavor of the week, when it comes to the technocracy, the dystopian government that's trying to implement itself, through privatization. They're using front companies like Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, all of this mumbo jumbo to be able for people to freely give over their freedoms in order to have, this new social, these social medias. I mean, I'll be honest with you, man, there's nothing social about social media. It's more anti-social than it is social. Okay. The other day, I got out of the house and just went for a bike ride. And, I was riding and I just saw kids playing outside, and it just made me just so excited. And I just praised the Lord, as I just kind of prayed, and I said, God, thank you, Jesus, for there being children that get away from video games and get away from the TV and get away from all of that and are out playing and maybe summer fishing, or summer, swinging on a swing set at the playground, or, just whatever it is. I just think it's an amazing, beautiful, wonderful thing for people to get away from technology. And if you truly value your family, don't allow your kids on social media. Don't be a tyrant about it, but, don't allow your kids on social media, and you practice what you preach, and you get off of social media. I mean, in reality, I hate social media, and I wouldn't even have what I have here if it wasn't for End Times Talk. I can't stand technology. I can't stand video games. I'm not making fun of people who do, but it isn't for me. I don't want nothing to do with it. It's corruption. It's absolute corruption. It corrupts the mind. It's a pacifier. It's like a binky in your mouth, or your thumb in your mouth. You know what I mean? It pacifies you. All right. And people want that comfort. They want that escape. They want that feel good feeling that comes from, different successes. And, they got to give you your achievements, and, reward the good little mouse with a little piece of cheese every once in a while. So when you have these video games, oh, you've gotten an achievement. You've killed 100 people. Or, oh, you've had 90, or you've had 1,000 headshots. Achievement. You see them, achievement unlocked, and all this stuff, and it's all fake and fictitious. There's nothing actually really there. You believe that this game that you built up from nothing, and spent hours and hours and hours, and built these empires within these video games that are open world, and one day that game's not going to be around anymore. It'll become obsolete. They're going to delete your profile, and they've done it to people. These subscription platforms that like Xbox and PlayStation has, and things like that, they literally will delete games out of nowhere and just be like, whoops, sorry, we don't have room for that game anymore. We apologize, but that favorite game that you used to play is gone. The 1,000 hours that you logged into that game, and built a city in Minecraft that is an exact replica of New York, or whatever. I mean, come on, that stuff, it changes, and people can steal accounts and things like that. So there's all sorts of different factors that play in, but it's a matrix. It's a matrix, just like Ready Player One. Everybody here should see that movie, Ready Player One, because that is the future. They want you to live in poverty. They want you to live in squalor, while you believe that you're living this high life in the video game world. Oh, we can escape. We just have to, pop a cord into the back of the head and tap into the matrix, man. And it's virtual reality, and you don't have to live in your existence. You can be anything you want to be. You can do anything that you want to do. Well, the system that is growing, that is coming, is I think already here. I really do. I believe it. And this woman right here, all right, she was in another town, and they have these new flock cameras, and Palantir is behind these flock cameras. Palantir, basically what they do is they collect public data, and they analyze it, and from my understanding, a part of what they're doing, not all, but a part of what they're doing is laying out information before the United States government and different governments of the world, and helping their government to understand what their people are thinking, what they're doing, where things are going, kind of almost like predictive, trends and things like that. And they run this through quantum computing and things like that to be able to predict certain outcomes. All right. And it just, now there's police that are using it to spy on people. That's been confirmed. This is in the news, that the police are using the flock cameras in order to spy on their ex-girlfriends and their ex-wives. And here's the thing, right? If you're spying on your ex-girlfriend or your ex-wife, and you're a police officer, you're probably a crooked cop, right? You're probably a crooked cop. And it's more than likely, okay, because you're misusing something. But it was supposed to read only the license plates, and it was supposed to help with sending people tickets and things like that. No. This is being used to monitor all of mankind right now. And again, the other live that I did, there was a gentleman hypothesizing that this could be used for human trafficking, to find a person that's desirable, that looks the way that you want them to look, to figure out their routine, to know where they're going, to know where their businesses are, where they go to school, where they work, where they sleep, And then if it comes down to kidnapping them, you know where they are when, you know, wherever they're at, you know, and the phones just amplify this. The phones just amplify this. But with that being said, I want to play this video. Listen up closely, people. This one's important.
We have cameras everywhere in that town. You can't get a breath of fresh air in or out without us knowing.
Chrisana Elzer learned the power of Flock firsthand.
You were in town from 11:52 until 12:09. Exactly. Like I said, nothing gets in or out of the town without us knowing.
When a Colorado police officer showed up at her door holding Flock snapshots of her truck.
And here's when you left at 12:09. That's when you left town.
Took it?
No,
it literally said Flock on the paper. Let me rewind that for a second. Hold on. It literally says Flock right there. You see it? It says Flock right in that corner right there. This is Flock camera technology we're talking about here. All right, please continue to pay attention.
At 12:09, that's when you left town.
Took it?
No, to stop at Ridge Trail.
Wait a minute.
And take a package. Well, there's no shushing. I don't need to be.
I need to know where this is.
The first thing he pulled out on the body cam is that Flock picture, the clear photograph of your car.
But here's your vehicle in the neighborhood many, many times, apparently casing houses, because you just can't drive through for work or visit other businesses. You can only be casing houses.
It is her. It is 100%. It is locked in. There is zero doubt. I wouldn't have come here unless I was 100% sure. 100%. It is certain. It is on video. You're obviously welcome to go to court.
Chrisana was charged with stealing a package, but it wasn't her. The porch pirate was somebody else.
Wow.
Multiple times you tried to show him your video evidence. He didn't want to see it.
Even when I called him back, he said, that's not my job.
You looked at a time of a crime. You saw my vehicle entering in the Flock camera.
No, what I did was...
This plays into that new movie with Chris Pratt where AI is the judge and you have to prove to AI that you're innocent. You have to prove your innocence. And it's all playing in. They're telling us what they're going to do. Eventually, they will use AI to start judging everybody, right? Because it's just easier, dude. Like, so listen, right? So not. I mean, I kid you not, dude. We had a bear in a tree. Okay, in my neighborhood, we had a bear in a tree in my neighborhood, 2 houses down from me. Absolutely cute bear. Absolutely cute. Absolutely gorgeous. I mean, everybody was just outside watching this thing hang out. We kept our distance, but he just kind of got up about 6 foot in the tree and nestled in the Y of the tree. You know what I mean? And he stayed there all day. He slept all day. He was waiting until night to move. He's a smart bear. He don't want to be out in the heat. But there was a lot of calls that went into DNR and police, and they didn't do anything. All right. And I'm not saying all police. I'm not saying all deputies. I'm not saying all detectives. All right. But there is a lot of them that are just becoming lazy. All right. Just becoming lazy. And they don't want to handle things that need to be handled. And there's all this like these stand down orders. I know people in law enforcement that the cops are at the top. Some of the times being their hands are being tied at the top and they're not able to do their job the way that they would want to do them, the way that is legal. And I know police and whatnot that have left departments and transferred to other departments because certain department heads were corrupt. All right. So it's insane. You know, it blows my mind. It blows my mind. So I'm gonna keep playing this here. Sorry.
I did an investigation.
You called my wife a liar. You said this is fact.
I have video evidence. I don't know what you want me to say.
The charges were dropped after Chrisana spent weeks trying to get the police chief to look at her evidence. Time-stamped video from her truck and a neighbor's doorbell camera showing she wasn't at the scene of the crime.
What does it say about where we are that you feel you have to have more cameras than the police have in order to make sure you can prove yourself innocent?
It sounds like it flipped the script to you're guilty until you prove yourself innocent.
Without a Flock camera, that detective would not have been at her door. By his own admission, he pulled out the flock picture of her car. Do you want to apologize to Chrisanna Elzer for what
for the
happened to her?
police misusing the tools? I don't
He
think that
wasn't-
I have to
He wasn't
apologize
charged
for
with a
him.
crime. He wasn't. I mean, other than
Well, that's-
being reprimanded for his attitude.
Sure. No, but I would tell you that, like, should I apologize for somebody misusing a tool?
Nerd.
I don't think so.
Flock Safety Chief Communications Officer Josh Thomas.
Who's watching the watchers in these cases?
Well, the city council, the city owns the data. So city council would have the appropriate responsibility in that case. Our point of view has always been that it is not Flock's job to police the way police do their work.
I'll be honest with you, man. This dude is a nerd, man. You can see it on his face. That dude doesn't even see the sun at all. He sits in his mama's basement. Ma, we need meatloaf. I mean, seriously, like, I'll be honest with you. I mean, you know, I've exposed bad people for quite a while. And I'm pretty good at looking at someone. There's a look to people sometimes. You can almost just see the demons on them and who they are behind the scenes. This guy is corrupt that works for Flock. All right. And you know, they're you know, it's not us, it's them, right? No, you're giving people back doors to be able to do these things, and you're not implementing anything in place to keep the abuse of power away. The abuse of power is here. It's most definitely here. I promise you that. The abuse of power is here. And so it really bothers me. And I've become a huge proponent. A huge proponent of the destruction of these Flock cameras, and I know that seems to go against the grain of what's in your form of Christianity, but I'll be honest with you, I know it's not in the Bible, but I do believe that when the laws of man start to go against the laws of God and tyranny starts to be implemented, it almost is a duty to resist. You know what I mean? Like, in my opinion, it's almost a duty to resist, and I applaud and I commend everybody that has ever thrown a water balloon full of paint, or taken a hacksaw, or taken a circular grinder or a sawzall and done what they needed to do to stand up for their fellow man. And I mean, this stuff's happening all over the place here, and I'll play this real quick.
Camera has been cut down, completely sprayed over with an American flag on it. And not far away, there's another Flock camera on the ground as well. HPD says it's investigating this, but so far,
that's a clean
there are
cut.
more questions than answers.
That is a clean cut. Someone knows what they're doing right there.
These cameras, meant to help solve crimes, now becoming the target of one, both cut in half and covered in spray paint.
Yeah, I didn't realize that the cameras were there until you actually pointed that out.
Juan Rodriguez's business, Spar Houston, is located by Washington Avenue and Westcott, where this happened. These are Flock cameras, meant to read license plates and alert police if they're connected to crimes. Rodriguez says he didn't see who did this, but he's left wondering why they did.
That's what it sounds like it would be. Somebody just put...
I love the person that stuck the American flag in there. And we don't really know what the American flag means. Everybody has their interpretation, but no one has really been truly to be able to find the core of what they actually mean by everything, all the symbolism on the flag. I mean, we know what the stars represent, whatnot, but I think it's interesting because it's supposed to be a symbol of freedom. So I get that, you know, what they're meaning by it, but people are standing against this, man. And I think it's awesome. And I mean, I'm seeing it all across the board. All across the board. It is all across the board. It is happening in multiple countries. All of that stuff. I mean, it just blows my mind that people are finally seeing what's going on over in Europe. They cut down and they destroy the 5G towers too. You know, like, they don't just go for the Flock cameras. Like, they know over in Europe what's being implemented here. This is this is the beast system. These are the eyeballs of the beast system. And this is a whole nother level of technology from, it's a whole nother level of technology from the the cameras that they have at intersections and things like that, just regular security cameras or whatnot, and probably still has facial recognition, all this stuff. But this is a whole new ball game. This is a whole new level of tyranny that's being implemented here. And I really feel like people got to take a stand. Now, there are certain things that you can do without committing crimes. And they got these masks that a Dutch designer created. It's a transparent mask, and it's used to confuse AI's facial recognition. But you can still see where you're going. But AI can't recognize you with this thing on. And, to be honest with you, for me, I think that that's a great idea. I really do. I think it's a great idea. I think it's a proactive approach to the situation, because they can't stop you from wearing that. I mean, anybody can still see you, look at you, know who you are, but it confuses the camera on the flock cameras. And so, I think that this eventually could be the norm. It really could be. It could be the norm. And, I think a part of what they were doing during the pandemic and having people wear masks is that way they could run everything they needed to run to figure out who's who while wearing masks and not wearing masks, and put that into the system. And so that way, even though if someone's wearing a mask and they think they're getting away with something, they're actually not, because these flock cameras saw you leave your house, they saw you go here. I mean, man, I'm telling you, this is it, folks. I mean, I don't know if y'all know, but we're in the final stand here. Like, this is the final stand. This is the final frontier of the last bits of your freedom, that you can literally hear it fizzling out and coming to an end. You can smell it in the air, so to speak. And right here, there's digital driver's license. It says Utah is one of the test states for digital driver's licenses, and this is in 2022. It will be launched fully. Listen to this. Below are some items that will be tracked or can be added at a later time: health records, vaccine records, financial reports. So this is your digital ID. A digital driver's license is your digital ID. Credit scores, travel records, taxes, vehicle registrations, your spending, voting, sex offender status, licenses and permits of all kinds, dietary preferences, outstanding parking fines and fees, background checks, rewards programs. So if you're a good little snitch and you snitch on your neighbor, you'll get rewards. You get a good cookie from the government. The government will give you an extra $50 for food. All right, because it's going to be the Hunger Games, right? And then at the very bottom, social credit scoring. Are you going to be a good person? Are you going to be a good little boy and girl? Are you going to go out and you're going to behave for the United States government when it comes time for them to start slaughtering people in the streets and all the stuff that's crazy that they have planned for the future when it comes to the beast system? Are you going to fall in line? Or are you going to stand against it? Because if you don't, your credit score is going to go down. Your social credit score is going to go down. And nobody's going to want to be around you because you have 100 instead of everybody else having a 500. Or you're only allowed to hang around people that have hundreds or whatever. You're outcasted out of society. They shut off your electricity. If you don't behave, they shut you down. And you eventually better learn how to survive if you don't plan on going by their new technocratic system that they have set up. I'm being honest with you. All right? You better learn how to survive. You better start getting some survival books. All right? And some books about your area and what plants are edible in the wild in your area. Start with berries. Berries are important. Get books on herbs, in your area, maybe even mushrooms or whatever, or, and get books on how to hunt, how to trap, things like that, because you might have to provide for yourself in the future because, their technocratic system, and going to the store relies on having a good social credit score. And so these things are already being implemented in America, and they're already talking about it in Europe. Yeah, China's absolutely doing the social credit scoring. Absolutely. They're getting this ready, man, and it's happening fast. And it's just proof that the end times are here and the rapture is near. Now, this right here, I think is an important video to show in light of what we're talking about, because before we've talked about the medical tyranny, you know, and how the medical system has become dystopian as well. When you go into a hospital, if they don't want you to leave, you ain't leaving. I can guarantee you that. And they're training for this. Let me show you. All right. These people, healthcare workers, all right, are participating in medical simulation for uncooperative patient scenarios. Watch this. Look at this. Look at this, everybody. Look at this. This could be you if you don't want the next vaccine. Because it's coming. I'm telling you. I'm warning you. I hope people are listening. It's coming. I promise. If you're in a medical situation or in any situation and you're surrounded by about 5 or 6, 7 people, possibly even 4 if you're a female, and you know, there could even be 4, you know, 1 for each arm and leg. And you know, I have a video where a man was an inmate at a prison, and because of his mental health status, whoa, my computer just froze up. Okay, whoa, that was weird. My computer just froze up while I was live. My cursor would not even move after I put that. So here's the thing. I have a video that I could show. There's a lot of language in it, though. It's heavy duty with language. But there was an inmate, because of his mental health status, they forced the vaccine on him. This happened in Texas. And I mean, this dude was going buck wild. He's like, y'all ain't going to give me this thing. You know what I mean? Like, I ain't doing it. And you can see them slowly start to come into the room, another staff member, and calm down, Joe, calm down, it's gonna be okay, blah blah blah, trying to talk you down peacefully. And you know, I was in lockup for a year, and I'm not gonna lie, I got a little buck wild in lockup, dude, and I've been restrained by staff. I'm not gonna lie to you, okay? But here's the thing, like, when they come at you like this, they're gonna start to surround you. When you start to get surrounded, you're in trouble. You need to get out of that box before that was to ever happen. If you hear anybody say, well, we're going to have to do this, and there's just a dude standing there, bolt out the door. Bolt out the door. Get out of there as fast as you can. And I'm talking run, Forrest, run. Because I'm telling you, once they get a couple of people in there, they'll block the door off, they'll start to surround you, and they'll corner you in the room. And then this stuff will happen. All right? And this is how they do it. You can see them, you know, getting her restrained. What do you think they're planning in a medical facility to restrain someone like that and having training like that? And yes, they think it's funny because look at that. They put a mask on her. They put a mask on her because she didn't want to have a mask on. And then they're doing the straps. They're doing the straps with over cloth, so obviously don't hurt her wrist. And there's the injection. There's the injection right there. This isn't training for an out of control patient. This is training for a forced injection. Are you listening? Are you paying attention? I hope you're paying attention, because this is proof that medical staff are training for forced injections. Plain and simple. Now, getting on to the next part of this. Hold on a second here. Now, I'll be honest with you. This is funny, is all funny can be to me. Like, there's a laugh to this, but this is serious, right? We can have a good laugh, all right? But it's very serious what this implies, right? So check this out. Everybody was kung fu fighting. Got some Neo the Matrix going on there. So here's the thing. Again, you know, they have kung fu robots, and you saw this robot kick this person. I mean, that was a flying kick. I mean, these robots are heavy. He's not pulling it down. He's trying to hold on to it. He can't contain it. You see, this guy tries to get involved and he can't put it because they're not. You can tell it's kicking with some force. Now here you go. Here you go. Here comes the spinning, the side kick here. Boom. That's enough to make him double over right there and back off and not want a piece. That kick right there is enough to make him double over. It tells you everything you need to know right there. All right. Yes, Kung Fu robots are funny, and I'm sure they have their comical implications, but this is extremely serious because these things are going to be, these things are going to be implemented all over the world. And I don't know if the prophesied 200 million man army that China wields, it's going to be China. But if the 200 million man army that China wields is going to be robots or humans, because they actually had a thing in China where, you could only have one female per household. And I believe that's because they were built. The population is huge in China. And so I do believe 110% that it could be human, but it's possible it could be robots as well. There could be robot technology within that. But, this stuff is going to be put all over the place, and just wait until the program to start doing this stuff is uploaded by Skynet, because I do believe Skynet's real. We joke around and we say this and we say that, and we say, hey, look, Skynet's, this is Skynet, or Google is Skynet, but it is. Skynet's real. There's a collective consciousness of AI across the board that's being built. These AIs even have social media. They can hire humans to do their bidding. And there's some people that are willing to commit crimes for these AI robots, because these AI robots are becoming people's gods. All right, let me show you.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد.
This is disgusting, man. Even though it's Islamic, it just proves, I'll be honest with you, Buddhists are doing this. This so far, I have seen clergy in Catholicism, Buddhism, and now Islam that are AI robots, and the AI robots are the ones teaching now, right? And so it's the Illuminati AI gods. That's what these things are. And these things are being possessed by demons. And the demons are becoming worshipped once again. People talk about the Nephilim returning, and everybody thinks of some 15-foot tall giant coming at you with a spear. The Nephilim are returning, but what if it's through AI technology? What if it's not the same front that everybody thinks that it is, and people get mad at me because they have their preconceived notions about how they want the Bible to play out and the way they see the Bible playing out? But what if is what I'm saying. All right. So, this stuff is brewing, man. It's brewing big time. And the tyranny, if you stand up against Islam at all, in some countries, people, hold on a second. I don't know why my computer is not working. My computer is not working. Hold on, guys. I'm literally having trouble here. Hold on. Dude, this is insane. My computer will not work. Hold on. I just got to cancel out of that. I don't know what just happened. So a video started playing and my computer would not let me pause it. I've never had anything like this happen ever before, especially during a live, dude. All right. But I was going to show a guy. He was over in Europe and he was preaching about the Bible and he was speaking against Islam and he called them a bunch of schmucks. And he got arrested right there on the spot. The cops are following him because he's speaking out about Jesus. And of course, they don't want you to see this, right? All right. He's speaking about Jesus. And as soon as he brings up that, Islam is corrupt and it's a bunch of schmucks, you know what I mean? He gets arrested. They run right up on him and they aggressively arrest him, like as if they had a biased opinion the whole entire time. You know what's crazy is that there's a guy, I'm going to show you this here, because now all of a sudden I'm able to pause. See, look, I just was able to play and pause this. Okay. I was just able to play and pause this. All right. But I wasn't able to play and pause the last video. It just started playing and it would not let me shut it off. I had to cancel out of the window to be able to shut it off. I don't know what's going on, people. Really weird things going on. But Sneako is saying and declaring New York an Islamic state now. Do you see how far it's come in America here? All right, you're being invaded. He says, I told you New York was a Muslim city. And I'm not going to say that. Your city will be just like this too, is what Sneako is saying. This is some retarded influencer here, idiot. And so on. The whole world like this. Islam will be in every doorstep. He doesn't even know how to talk right. Islam will be in every doorstep. You mean on? Yeah. He's been getting paid to say this stuff, right? Everybody will know the truth. Everybody could be Muslim. Well, we can be, but we don't want to be. All right. We don't want to marry children. We don't want to beat women. You guys do, though, however. And you love it. You enjoy it. You abusive bastards. And everybody's cheering and they're saying Allah Akbar right now and chanting. Yeah, they're all screaming there, you know. I mean, this is a takeover. They're not here to assimilate. They're flying their own flags. You know, and they come here, and this isn't, they're not proud where they come from. This is invasion. I truly believe it 110%. Now, there are people that are here that maybe even came here illegally, that abide by the laws of the land. They work hard. They pay, for their families to be healthy, and they send back money to their families, and, you know, they take care of what they got to take care of. You know, I'll be honest with you, get mad at me. I don't care. I'm not against that. I'm not against new restaurants opening up and new cultures and food coming in. And I mean, that's what America is all about, to be honest with you. But I do not like that the fact that we're being invaded by militants, by Islamic militants, by people the drug cartels, the people who are pedophiles and murderers, rapists, and serial killers, and all this nastiness that spills over from these other countries. All right, that I am not for. All right, and I absolutely hate it. You know, I do think you should come here legally, but it doesn't mean that you're a bad person because you choose to break the law. We've all broken the laws of God. Does that make you a bad person? I mean, we're not righteous. You know what I mean? Like, Jesus is righteous, and through him we're made righteous. But all of us have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. So who are we to judge someone that wants a new, fresh start, that actually wants to do the right thing? But these people aren't here to do the right thing. That's not what they're here to do. They're not here to assimilate. They're here to destroy America. All right. And, I'll be honest with you, man. This next one is something that Trump put out here. And he says that the golden age is here. This was put out by the White House right here, 4.9 million followers. So, this is the official White House. And it's interesting. I've been doing some pretty deep research into the origins of where child abuse comes from. And there's a religion behind it. And, it's interesting because a lot of the pedophilia goes to Greece. All right. It goes back to Greece. Now, it does go all the way back to the ancient kingdoms of the world. Absolutely. They all were doing it. All right. Rome or not Rome, but I meant Babel and, Assyria and all these different, ancient kingdoms and governments did this to people. And a lot of it was elite and it was allowed. But Greece exceptionally allowed it and allowed the rich to do so. And a lot of it was under the guise of mentorship and, because they're Greek gods and goddesses, they believed we're doing the same thing. And so there's this story, all right, that I've learned of recently, digging into the religion of pedophilia. Okay. And what I found out is that there's a young boy named Ganymede. Ganymede. And you've heard the term mead before. It's like a type of alcoholic substance. Some make it from honey, and there's different things like that. But mead is like an older style of alcoholic beverage. All right, and it's said that Zeus, all right, the god of the gods. Okay, so Lucifer, right? Took Ganymede, abducted him as a young boy, and had a pedestry relationship with him, and took Ganymede, and Zeus took the form of an eagle, and grabbed Ganymede and took him up to Mount Olympus, and then made a constellation of Ganymede. And it's interesting. Here we go. Ready for this? That is actually the constellation Aquarius. So we've all heard these Beatles songs and things like that about the age of Aquarius and the coming of the age of Aquarius and the new age and the new world order. Okay, but not a lot of people know that Aquarius is actually Ganymede, and mead being a drink substance, it's known that Ganymede in this Greek mythology, that Ganymede brings drinks to Zeus as well, right? So that's why the boy or the man, Aquarius, is pouring out the water out of the pot. He's a drink bearer, right? But this is symbolic of pedophilia. And so if they're talking about the age of Aquarius, and Aquarius is Ganymede, and the thing that happened to Ganymede is where some of the Greek origins of pedophilia come from, then couldn't we say that the age of Aquarius is the age of pedophilia? Couldn't we say that? And if we go to the White House page here, you'll notice this eagle. Oh, interesting. Interesting, right? And then all of a sudden, all right, going back, they're posting a post that says the golden age is. It says the golden age is here, and they're showing Trump and this and that, blah 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 blah, all this stuff, But it says the golden age is here. So are you saying that the age of pedophilia is here? No wonder they're having so many TED Talks and things like that, and they're calling them MAPS or minor attracted persons. But I've been really digging into this religion that these people believe. And a lot of the earlier people in the LGBTQ community, like Harry Hay, who taught that what the Greeks were doing to children was like an ability to ascend to a new state of mind, to a new spiritual state. And this is exactly what Catholics believe. It's called Transugothian magic. They hurt little boys to have an ascension of the mind. Masons do the same thing. There's Masonic ritual abuse that happens in the Masonic temples. Kathy O'Brien, my friend, she was one of them. I know another gentleman that was hurt by Masons. Masons do this to ascend. In Thelema, Aleister Crowley taught that you hurt children to ascend. All right. Harry Hay, who was one of the forefathers of the LGBTQ community, not only said the same thing, but he eventually joined NAMBLA and was seen in Los Angeles wearing a NAMBLA shirt. And if you don't know what NAMBLA is, it stands for the National American Man-Boy Love Association. All right, so there is a religious system that's pagan, and it comes and it does play into the LGBTQ community. You have what's known as queer esotericism. That's the esoteric version of the LGBTQ community, and they're practicing all the same rites and rituals as the Greeks were practicing. And it all started with mentorship, teaching the child how to be a certain way. All right. And then there was always like an imparted gift, kind of like Horatio. For those of you who have seen my documentary Interlocked, thank you for actually watching it, because on YouTube, barely anybody watched it, but there's 56,000 views over on X. I'm super censored over here on YouTube, but thank you for watching it. But in that, I cover a lot of this stuff, and I expose a lot of stuff that ties in with this. And so, there's this religion behind this thing, and it needs to be exposed. And the modern core of it is Greece. It's Grecian pedestry, right? Grecian pedestry. And so I really, have been getting ready to do a huge drop of information about that. But I saw this post, and the golden age. My butt, man, my butt. It ain't no golden age. It's the new world order, and it's an age old idea. The same abuses that they are doing to people then, they're doing now. And not to mention, the genocide and all this stuff that they're doing. And I'm not talking about just the war, but I'm talking about the soft kill. I'm talking about the spray and the vaccines and the chemtrails and all this stuff. It's soft kill. All right. It's soft kill. And so, I don't know. I'm not going to go on too much longer, but I just wanted to come on here and give my 2 cents, for today. And I'm kind of not feeling well. My stomach's hurting really badly. I hope I don't have a bug or something, but I just wanted to come on here and basically say, like, your freedoms are being eroded away by a bunch of pedophiles taking over. As really, in a nutshell, what I wanted to say. Like, why would you accept any bullshit that these people put in your face? We have got to stand up and stand out and shout from the rooftops that this is corrupt. It's evil. We need to expose this thing. People need to get active in it. And I'll be honest with you, we need to shout the name of Jesus from the rooftops. These people are shouting their new system from the rooftops, and they're proclaiming this new thing. Man, we need to start speaking the name of Jesus a whole lot more publicly. We need to flood the internet with Jesus and scripture and the Bible and Holy Spirit inspired messages. And I'll be honest with you, man, there's not enough Christians on X. I want to see more Christians get on X and make profiles. Everybody stays in their lane, man. But I'm telling you, censorship's coming. It is too. And I've experienced it myself. And I'll tell you, YouTube's going to be #1 for censorship in the coming, months or years or whatever, if the Lord tarries. And, I promise you, it's YouTube's going to be on the forefront. Same with Facebook, just like it was before. And I do believe that, like since George Bush Sr., you had George Bush Sr., then you had Bill Clinton, then you had George Bush Jr., then you had Obama, then you had Trump, then you had Joe Biden, then you had Trump again. And from the very get-go, it's Republican, Democrat, Republican, Democrat, Republican, Democrat, Republican. You see? And they do it. They're keeping doing like that. And they've followed that pattern. All right. And I do believe they'll follow that pattern again. I do believe that this is the last administration that we'll probably see that's going to be a Republican administration. I do believe the next liberal dictator that takes over will be a dictator. I believe that it's Trump's job to put the system in place so the people accept the system. And then the true tyranny, the true misery, the true darkness that comes in 2028. It's no coincidence, man. They got it all lined up perfectly. Use Trump to be able to pacify anybody who would stand against this thing and to believe that this is all good and it's all for man's benefit and that America's the leader of AI technology and all that stuff. And then they put in someone like Kamala Harris or, something along them lines, dude, or some new Democrat. But I do believe, from the pattern that I've seen, that they'll continue to follow that pattern, because each time you switch, political sides with each president, you inflame the other side. You inflame the anger and the frustration, and people start lashing out. Look what the left is doing. Like a toddler with a temper tantrum, man. A toddler with a temper tantrum. So, anyways, I'm going to hop off of here. I love y'all. Please be paying attention, and don't be afraid to share these videos where people are, taking the flock cameras down, because I think this is something that should be promoted. I think there should be vigilantes. I think people should go out and help humanity. I really do. Take one for the team, man. And I know it sounds bad to say that, but I don't feel a bit bad saying that. I don't. Because these things, what they're being used for, is going to be the end of humanity. All right, I truly believe that, like, standing against tyranny is standing up for God. I really do, and standing up for His ways and His righteousness and freedom that He gave to us. God gave us this. Why would we allow the devil to take it away? May God bless you all. May He keep you. And please don't forget to go out and change this world in which you live.